Yuri.
I'm Jacob.
And we're going for a drive. It's January 2022, and this is the newest Subaru STI that you can buy.
In Sport Tech or limited trim, Yuri, send it for me without launch control. A little snowy out today.
Horsepower and torque.
310 horsepower, 290 pound-feet of torque from a turbo 2.5 liter boxer engine.
And Subaru Canada was nice enough to get this on the road in winter for us so we can test this out in winter.
Yeah.
Because it's probably going to be switching up soon.
And we also just got like the biggest storm we've ever had that I can recall from living here.
And we got to rally it at the new track up in Barrie that's getting built.
Yeah, Oro Medante. So we actually did that way earlier last year.
Yeah, I hope you guys like all this sick drone footage from s1w.ca drones.
That was a lot of fun to do. We'll talk about that throughout this video.
But we wanted to drive it in winter and almost do a send-off to this gen because it's probably going to get updated to be a version of the new WRX that everyone kind of hates, but I don't think looks that bad.
Yeah, so we should probably get into why you should even buy one of these. This is so outdated. It's got this old school shifter that moves around by itself. I mean, you're directly connected to the transmission. You got hydraulic steering. You can't talk to the car. Like, why would you even bother buying this?
This is the last good old car. In our review 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I was saying how they should just keep making this as the STI Classic.
And I was really upset that they were still making this because it was so outdated at the time.
Have you changed your mind?
Completely. I don't want to talk to this car. So all of those things that I listed as bad things, no, they're all good things in 2022. This is the last of the analog cars, and we really appreciate that. I've come to really appreciate that.
It was like this and the 370Z.
Those are the last ones really left like that.
BRZ and 86 kind of.
Kind of.
It's like the same company doing it.
Yeah. I know you're watching the Subaru WRX STI video right now, but I'm in another flat-engined vehicle, this Porsche 911 GTS Cabriolet. Don't miss this video, come back tomorrow, or subscribe and then you don't miss any of our videos. So we're obviously in winter, so we're gonna focus this on winter performance and all-wheel drive system because this has one of the most unique all-wheel drive systems in the industry. We have a center differential, which we can control through this DCCD, which is the driver-controlled center differential. Yuri, tell me about that.
We had the big snowstorm, and I wanted to really just drive it around in winter and see if it was as unstoppable as all those YouTube videos show. You know, having it like tow cars out of the ditch and everything, and
Yeah,
just
like trucks.
Be fully unstoppable. But I kept the DCCD in auto the whole time.
And realistically, auto is probably fine in 95% of conditions, but we're here to experiment in winter.
Yeah, so when the storm hit, I tried to just back the car right out in auto, and it kind of got stuck. I had to shovel a bunch of my driveway. And then I finally got it out onto the road, which was untouched. This is like 30, 40 centimeters. And the car got pretty far, but then stopped because there was no path before it.
Because there wasn't enough ground clearance.
Yeah, it was just like the bumper hit, and I'm like, all right, that's as far as I can go. So I had to keep shoveling, wait till a couple trucks went by, so my respect for trucks went way up. And then I got back out on the streets, and it was fantastic on there. Like, it went through pretty much everything once you were going. I can see why people want this for winter as like a winter beast, because it like pretty much tore everything apart. I saw a coyote, I said hi to the coyote. I tried going into the lane that wasn't plowed yet, that didn't have any tracks, and the Subaru did kind of get a little stuck, but then I hopped back into the other lane that was already cleared. So to make up for me not locking the diff in the snowstorm, I've been destroying this unplowed parking lot for the last 30 minutes. Hope you enjoy the slow-mos. So now I fully believe that even if the snow's high, this can set a path, be a trailblazer just like a truck. Damn, Subaru.
And for those that don't know, I used to own a 2004 WRX. I wish I could afford the STI at the time, but the WRX was good enough. And I even attended and competed in Snowcona 2013, and I got 5th place. The only people that actually beat me were like modded STIs, so I'm quite proud of that.
But at our rally track day, we drove the WRX and the STI back to back. We didn't like the WRX in comparison, the old one.
Yes, the 2021, same generation as this one. So yeah, we really did not like how that performed. There was no DCCD, you couldn't really control it. The way that the all-wheel drive system worked was like leagues below the STI. It was so noticeable on gravel.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this DCCD.
So in the STI, you get a center differential, so you can actually control it through all these different modes. Now the differential lets you vary from 50-50 all the way down to 41-59, so to the rear mostly. Now you can control it through several different of those modes from auto and manual.
And with that, you can also lock all four wheels by being in manual and setting it to the front.
Yeah, so full diff lock 50-50.
Yeah, front equals 50-50 when we're talking about this.
Yeah, so because we have winter conditions, we were actually able to test launches of all of the different modes.
It seemed like the lock diff gives you a little bit more bite, but everything else kind of gets you off the line relatively similar. It might be very hard to notice on camera.
Yeah, so basically feel-wise, lock diff is what you want if you want to have some fun in a parking lot or if you have some closed course.
Snowy parking lot or snowy closed course.
Yes, you do not want to lock your diff driving around on just like wet roads or even dry roads. That would be really bad for the differential. You basically want to be an auto rear for the most part, driving in dry conditions, and then auto plus for the front in like wet conditions when you actually want traction.
Yeah, just think of it as being able to vary your front wheel driveness or rear wheel driveness on an all-wheel drive system.
It's like the torque split. It's complex, but it's cool that you can do this.
I still haven't fully wrapped my head around it. I think you just need to own one and do a lot of track days on slippery conditions or gravel days before you really dial it in. Like I feel like an STI owner or team driver needs to be the one to fully explain it.
Actually, I completely disagree, because if you go on like IWSTI or NASIOC or any of those Subaru forums, which I used to be a part of, everyone's just arguing about what the DCC does, like what's the best mode for this. I mean, Subaru people just like to argue about that kind of stuff. There's no consensus, I would say.
Yeah, so nobody really knows except for the guy who probably is at the factory and drives it and races it.
Yeah.
But I found that pretty much in every mode, in the snowy weather, you could get a little squirrely if you wanted to, and it stayed good. Like everything about this in winter is great, and it's much better besides the ground clearance than pretty much every other car.
Yeah, so that would be the #1 reason to buy one of these if you're actually shopping for one of these. So if you are, head to tsp.truecar.com, discounted price offers.
And then I'll do a little cliche corner boot, auto diff to the rear.
And it's already been cleared?
Yeah, already cleared.
So it's a little wet.
Surprisingly enough, we were trying to get snowy conditions to drive this car in everywhere. All of Southern Ontario managed to get their act together and clean off all the roads. And through Cliche Corner and that little bump, it's got enough ground clearance to get through that, and it stays stable the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, it feels old school, but it feels like it has a ton of grip.
It just feels nice to drive, like an old car. It's the last of the old cars that you can still buy in 2022.
So let me get to that, because this engine is from a 2004 STI, basically. This is the EJ257. You know what came out in 2004? Facebook.
Nice.
That's how old this engine actually is.
I like it. It's still good.
It's just, that's how revolutionary it was at the time and how like good it still is, which is crazy.
And I guess the theory for them getting rid of this is emissions for the next gen.
Which makes sense. Apparently it's going to be based on the same, I think the FA24, which is in the WRX, and even a version that's not turboed in the DRZ.
But you can still buy this now.
Right now,
and,
yes.
And my bets are that this is going to be better than the next gen.
Probably.
We won't know for a while, but let's get you in the driver's seat. Diff lock, launch, we're in 2 patches of slush.
Okay, let's try this. Ooh.
A little more bite.
Yeah, and it's pulling in the direction where there's actually slightly more grip. So yeah, it makes sense that it did that. Let's not break the diff and put it back into auto. Let's talk about some drive modes really quickly. We have Sport, Sport Sharp, and Intelligent. Everything's pretty self-explanatory. Sport Sharp is your sportiest mode.
Yeah, and it's really clear as a diagram when you just go through them. It shows you the throttle curve. So
right, exactly.
And
in the last video, you couldn't feel it.
I didn't, because I wasn't as in tune with cars. I wasn't messing around with them as much. But then playing with so many cars and so many drive modes, then like, yeah, I noticed it a lot more now.
Nothing warms my heart more than hearing that.
Than learning drive modes after like 4 years of driving cars constantly for work.
Let's warm your heart right after Cliche Corner, talking about some infotainment. I can't wait to talk to the Subaru, Yuri. Okay, so downshift, heel toe. Oh my God, this is great. A little bit of understeer there because it's super wet, but you can feel it trying to bite. Like right now I'm in auto, which let's just kick it a little bit back to the rear, and it felt better. Like already in that little instance, I can already feel like I had slightly more traction where I wanted it.
But would you want this for dry weather? I feel like this is only a cool car for Loose tarmac.
You're 100% correct. So I owned my WRX for 4 years, which I think at that point was the longest I've ever owned a car, and I think it might still be. I sold it because I got bored. I was totally bored of driving that car in the summer, so I went out to like rallies and like I did as much gravel driving as I could in the summer because I was so bored. All it did was understeer. I even took it to track days, I modified it, I did like a bigger sway bar in the back just to get a little bit more oversteer, but I was done with the car.
You just need, this is the wrong car for that.
Yeah, like, yes, it's great in Canada, but like, you still have a couple months of summer and I just want rear-wheel drive goonery for those months.
So personally, I think you'd go with this if you live near a ski hill or on dirt roads all the time or worked at a rally thing.
Yes.
Because the competition for this is the Golf R.
That's like the biggest, closest competitor in price and horsepower.
But that comes in a dual clutch, where this only comes in a 6-speed manual.
Correct.
But that one also comes in a 6-speed manual.
Correct.
Then I guess Veloster N, the new WRX, and the Type R are kind of the only other competition, but they're front-wheel drive.
Yep.
And then rest in peace, Focus RS was like just as close as well.
Exactly. And like anything else that would be somewhat close, you'd have to almost go to like luxury cars, which don't offer manuals. So yeah, this is the last of its dying breed, unfortunately.
But it's cool that it still exists. Like, it exists right now.
Right. So it's, trust us, like we're very appreciative that this exists, and I almost feel bad for the previous review that I gave this because it was so antiquated, but that was because we just got out of the Civic Type R and we were like, oh my God, this technology is next level for a front wheel drive car, that this just felt so old at the time.
Yeah, but old is good. I've always liked old, man. I'm all about like vintage 90s stuff, and like in cars too.
Dude,
still.
In cars, I'm fully about that because Yuri, hey Subaru, set my climate control to 21 degrees. It didn't do anything.
Okay, so
wow. What happened?
So
Is it broken?
In 2018, we had the old crappy infotainment that was like really, really bad. And now we've got the good one that they've been using in a bunch of cars over the last 2-3 years. Now in the new WRX, they're moving to the tall tablet one, which we used in like, I don't know, the Forester or something.
That's not good, right?
And we did not like it at all. This is the best infotainment they're ever going to have done or will do in the future, seeing as where they're going.
This is the best STI of this generation and perhaps ever.
Yeah, and we got Apple CarPlay. You plug it in, it works. We've got a spot for our phone, but if you got a huge phone, it won't fit, whatever. It's old school. We've got Sirius satellite radio with Tune Mix, my favorite feature. Love it so much.
And the backup camera resolution is even really good.
Yo, volume knob, tuning knob. The only thing that sucks is like these weird capacitive buttons, but it's really not the end of the world.
Right. Hey Subaru, warm my butthole.
Yeah,
wait.
We have 2 hard buttons for your heated seats so they can stay heated the whole time.
And they're not cooled, but whatever. And we got these sick Recaros because we have the top trim and they are so comfortable.
Yeah, Sport Tech with wing, but you can get this without the wing as well.
And even in the States, you can optionally remove it from the Limited, which is cool.
And while I was driving around in winter, you'd expect to be wearing boots, right?
Yeah.
Because snow. But I brought a spare pair of like shoey boots with me so I could drive with my normal Reebok driving shoes.
And I got these Blundstones, shout out Australia for my Blunnies. I got no problem driving in these.
I just don't like not having normal shoes for driving manual.
I get that in the
If
winter.
it was a manual Honda Element, like it's just like a shit box like I own, I could drive that with ski boots. I don't care.
Yeah, fair enough.
But with this much power, like I want my shoe.
You gotta get some Blunnies.
Okay, so more interior stuff. We've got 2 cup holders back here, but they will not fit a small cup of Timmy's without hitting the top. So Jacob's got his
Patented.
not patented TSP cup fix, which raises the cup up and then it's perfect.
I 3D printed that.
I didn't use the armrest at all, but I used the door armrest a bunch.
Yes, because they're at totally different height levels.
And then we got red seat belts, which are sick.
And the steering wheel's nice, the shape's good, the size is really good, the layout's really good. Everything climate control wise is hard buttons. Like, this is great.
Yeah, gauges are good too. Nice analog and then digital in the middle. And there's like so little stuff to interfere with. What you need to know is the diff.
It's
and
not
that's
even,
about it.
and it's not distracted to drive. You got your boost gauge up there and your secondary screen.
Yeah,
like
top screen is good.
It's great.
And then back seat room, we both have enough room behind ourselves. I guess it's like an old style car, so it has more room.
Yeah, it's like bigger inside.
Yeah, and the seats fold down. Then we've got a good amount of room in the trunk, and when you open the trunk, the wing does not hit the glass, even though I think it will. Like, what else has a big wing like this?
Well, there's really only the Civic Type R, which is also a competitor, and kind of really nothing else. There are some like super luxury cars like a Porsche GT3.
Yeah, but that's too expensive.
Exactly.
Mini GP had a big one.
Yeah, and that's a hatchback, which is surprising.
Camaro ZL11LE kind of had a big one.
Yeah, ish. Lexus RCF Track Edition, kind of.
And that's it for big wings.
Yeah, big wings are kind of going out. And Shout out Big Wings for the Porsche GT3 RS, the spy shots of that one.
Yeah, that looks
holy
sick.
crap.
But I feel like top-mounted wings are, it's like kind of...
Yeah. So I think wings are dying because sedans, unfortunately, are dying.
So do you think this STI is going to look better than the new STI, which we think is going to be the new WRX with color-matched cladding and a wing?
I don't think it's going to have color-matched cladding, so I'm going to say no. I'm going to say this one is actually going to look better.
Yeah, I'm also going to stick with that.
Because if you watch Savage Geese's video, there's a whole technical breakdown on the fact that they actually had these dimples that like add airflow and whatever. It's kind of crazy, like how much airflow do you really need? How much aerodynamics do you really need to have those ugly, like non-color match flares? Like, does it really?
I mean, it's not that ugly to me. Like the orange one with the plastic cladding, like looks rugged.
It definitely looks rugged. Like I hate plastic cladding, especially on like a regular looking sedan. Like it's not an SUV. It's not like meant to go in the, I don't know. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but I like weird designs.
Well, let us know what you guys think. Is this one going to be better than the new one that nobody has seen yet at this point?
And luckily enough, we got this one in blue again.
Yes, World Rally Blue, best color for a Subaru. I'm glad that they kept it in the new generation for the new WRX.
But still no gold wheels.
Right, exactly.
But we got 19s on here, and then we've got those acid yellow, acid green brake calipers.
Which look awesome, and the recommended Continental tire would be the Winter Contact TS 830P, and in the summer, the Extreme Contact Sport.
Would have really liked those Continental winter tires for that Snowstorm.
Yes.
Just saying.
And if we had those Extreme Contact Sports and we had a bunch of Cobb modifications on here, this thing would be so much fun in the summer. I think Ben from Gears and Gasoline, short Ben because there's two Bens, he did a really good job modifying his new STI with like a ton of Cobb parts. I think that's what you should do. Basically take this to like stage 3 and just leave it.
Okay, but as a family man, you've got a kid now, I got a kid now. This seems like an unrealistic car to own. Like, I look at these cool old cars that would have been awesome in your 20s, and I'm like, this is so unpractical. I can't buy another manual car, even though it's a sedan.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not sharing it and your spouse doesn't drive manual and they don't want to, then yeah, it's a bit of a hassle. But that argument kind of works for like every manual car.
Yeah.
But at least we do have 4 doors. Like, this is still a practical car.
Yeah, but it's also kind of just like a hobby car.
Yeah, for sure.
Couple more things. We still have a manual e-brake in this one. I don't know if the new one's gonna have it, but the new WRX does, so I bet it will.
Yeah.
And then this shifter, do you still hate how much it wobbles in every gear and whatever?
I mean, I don't hate it. It is kind of rubbery feeling. I would like a notchier shifter, but like the short throws are very nice in this. So I definitely don't hate it. At least not anymore. Yeah.
It feels great. Much better feeling, I think, than the M3. The new M3
Yes.
shifter. We didn't really like that.
No, that transmission just did not feel very good.
Okay, a couple more throwbacks to our last 2018 STI review. This one has push to start. The other one had an actual key you plugged in, you had to put in.
Oh, because I think we had a lower trim maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe they didn't add it at the time, but yeah, that's still funny.
The changes from that 2018 to this make this such a better deal. Like if I was going to buy an STI, I'd pretty much have to buy a brand new one.
And the funniest part is like you're still getting old tech, but you're getting it with a warranty and like the best parts of the old tech still brand new.
Yeah, this is like the best car to buy now. Should we finish it off and get to the price?
Man, this really sounded like an ad for this car. Let's get to the price. This one in Sport Tech trim or limited trim in the US is $49,620 Canadian.
I think that is a lot cheaper than it should be.
Which is actually more than a Golf R in manual.
Well, the Golf R added all those things that make it suck, like talking to the infotainment and capacitive touch buttons, so they made it worse.
Yes, like they added sound editing. It's definitely a more luxurious car. But the stuff that they added made me like detract from my liking of that car.
I would pay $50,000 Canadian for a Golf R if they removed the stuff I didn't like.
Yes.
And put stuff from the previous gen Golf. Like
if they had like a base infotainment in the top trim, that was an option.
The last gen Golf R with Spectrum colored paints is better than a new Golf R.
Yes,
with
it is.
new technology.
And like drift mode.
Okay, the drift mode stuff is actually pretty...
But also, who cares? On the roads and stuff for daily driving?
You don't do that stuff.
Exactly. So let us know what you guys think of this STI, this relic from the past.
Let us know if you go buy one. Go to tsp.truecar.com and buy one. Buy them all.
Pretty much. This is our high recommendation of just buy one right now while you still can.
Buy an STI, please. It's 2022.
Yeah, so we can buy these used later.